occasions, the authorities confiscate and bring us animals that have been kept in confinement in people's homes. And of course we have to try and deal and see what we can do with these larger animals. It's a lot more difficult to integrate them, as you can imagine. Some of them have had their teeth filed down or removed. Some of them have been castrated. Some of them have never seen another monkey in their life. So the process is a lot more difficult. Of course, quarantine is the first step. And after this guy's been in quarantine for a while, we'll start seeing how we can introduce him to other monkeys.
Thank you, Cleta. We have just had a new arrival of a subadult male who's just arrived from Johannesburg Wildlife Vets. So he's just in quarantine, which is behind us. But as you can see, Gizmo is very interested in what's going on. We've got the orphans from the last couple of years and lots of the troop here to keep watch and see what's going on.
Of course, the other problems we face with these animals is their diet that they've been fed previously, and of course the amount of contact. They've normally been in contact with one person for most of their life. They could have other problems because they haven't been kept outside and things like this. They might have been kept indoors for all this time. So there's a lot of difficulties to overcome, and especially to keep the monkey as happy as possible. We do have to dedicate a person to looking after them, basically to give them their attention and win over their confidence, so that we can slowly introduce them to other monkeys. So it is a longer process and can take a few years sometimes to actually get these guys integrated into a cage. So keeping them as pets definitely isn't a good idea. The sooner we can get them, the better we can the sooner we can help them. One can just imagine this sub-adult is actually coming of age. The SPCA or the wildlife vets told us he was only a year old, but you can see he's well over 3, possibly getting close to 4 years. At 4 years of age, the male monkey is kind of mature, and they need to find a troop or other females. So he would have just been on the brink of starting to give the family trouble. He might have started biting other people, but also wanting to get out of his enclosure, sort of to find naturally with his own instincts, his own kind. So he would have started biting a lot more, getting a lot more out of hand, and a lot more difficult to control at this point in time. So that's also another thing to take into consideration. The next biggest problem we have is, of course, this guy is going to miss the family that brought him up, especially the person that dedicated their time to looking after him. He's got no idea what's actually happened to him or why, because at this age, of course, he knows everything around him and what's actually going on. This also makes it a lot more difficult. Anyone else that comes close to him is like a foreign troop member, so he's not going to trust them. So to build up trust and time to be able to work with this guy becomes very, very difficult, and it does pose its own problems. And that's also one of the reasons why we try to get 1 or 2 carers basically to work with this animal, just to build over their trust, be taking their food to them, feeding him, so he knows where the food comes from, and slowly he'll trust that person, and that person will be able to integrate him into the troop.
This is our newest arrival. He came yesterday from the Johannesburg Wildlife Vets. He was kept as a pet since he was a baby. And they removed his canines. So now he's settling in here in quarantine. He will need to stay here for 4 weeks so that we can determine his health, making sure that if he has any disease, we don't spread it over to our other monkeys. During that time, we will also do some tests just to confirm his health, and it also allows us to observe him and to determine his character, which it then allows us to better assess which troop might be suitable for him, in the hope so that we then will be able to integrate him to a troop.
Well, currently for Boetie, everything is like a new experience for him, so he's seeing a whole lot of new stuff and probably different foods and things. So he's not too worried at the moment. He seems to be settling in very well, which is great. As you saw earlier, there's a whole lot of monkeys on the edges having a look at him. Of course, they can't get close, but at least they can be vocal, so he's starting to hear other monkey sounds and how they talk and chatter, which is also important for him. Fortunately, our quarantine cages are made with a little bit of height, so he can go up to a certain area and have a look around and see surroundings and see what's there, which is very, very important for them. So far, yes, he's enjoying the new forage, the greens, the grasses. I'm not sure if he was fed grass and stuff at home, but at least he's getting to try some and he's enjoying it here very much, which is also great to see. Well, of course, it's also important to record events, and one of the important things is to just confirm what food is actually being eaten, what is liked, because unfortunately with these confiscations we're never given a list of what they've been eating before.
What did you give him, Hannah?
Spinach, cabbage, apple, some banana, pineapple, carrot, and pawpaw.
Down on the fruit, because she said Vervet's only had 1/8 of their diet fruit.
They do eat fruit, and they
When
do
they
eat
can get
more.
it, I think it's the thing, isn't it?
But
When they can get it.
yeah, it's not as much as grasses and other stuff. But if you think about it, their fruit in the wild anyway would be less sweet, more savoury.
I just because I think that the thing is because these fruits are so high in sugar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we try not to give them too much fruit here, other than our mangoes who are fruit eaters. But obviously, sometimes you can only get.
Yeah. Well, I know. I went with Laura. You know Bob.
Bob Venter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to his place a few times in the old days, helping them slash up vegetables. And the last time I went, none of the local farmers were supplying them with anything. So they used to go for a long way to get their fruit, and it was weird things like peppers and stuff that I don't think. It was just basically what they could get.
What's your task this morning, Simon?
I'm taking care of the quarantine monkey, the new one that came in. We don't have water there at the moment. I'm filling up my buckets here.
Okay.
To clean his whole cage, disinfect it, feed him in the morning and in the afternoon. I took a fecal sample so we can analyze it. Do some food monitoring, and after 3 weeks he's gonna move to a new enclosure, hopefully.
Wonderful. And you got your mask and gloves, protective clothing on, so that's great.
I got a whole suit I'm wearing in quarantine.
Okay, and then we've got a foot bath where we use as well. Great, perfect, thank you.
Good morning. So Simon is our new quarantine boy. This is our male who was just brought to us. So he doesn't have a name yet. But he's in our strict quarantine area. And these are our quarantine cages for new arrivals. So we have to keep them isolated for 4 weeks and go through the full quarantine procedure, so all protective gear, gloves, masks, and all the health and safety requirements. So each morning Simon has to clean the cage, feed him, food monitor, record any behaviours, Cool. So quarantine, the new arrival in quarantine's been here for just over a week, and his name is now Boetie. And he's starting to settle in really well. He's eating much more diversity of fruit and vegetables. Still goes for the banana and papaya first, but that's the same with most of the monks. His stools are improving. They were very soft at the start. Much better now. We've tested his stools for parasites and it's all clear. He's less stressed, much more relaxed. As you can see, I did have a bit of trouble getting him into the back cage. The little cage that we put the food in, that allows us to close him in there and clean the main cage. But I couldn't do that this morning, so I'm gonna have to come back later to clean. But yeah, all's good for this little boy. He's looking nice and healthy. Nice golden coat. So yeah, we'll just keep cleaning him every morning, keep him well fed, and in a couple of weeks, he only has a 3-week quarantine because he spent a week at a previous centre, so only maybe a week and a half till we can actually move him to a proper intro cage here beside one of our troops on site, so that'll be a big move for him. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put him yet, but we'll decide in the next coming days. But all good for now.
As you can see, adults are a lot more difficult to integrate than younger ones, even more so with females because they actually lose their troop twice. They get very attached to the family, so not a good idea to keep these animals as pets. I do hope you enjoyed this video and can see what the problems are. At some time or other we aren't going to be able to keep this animal and it's going to go through trauma all over again.